So welcome, online and the folks in the room, to the Global Center for Christ Consciousness. Centering for our prayer, please. No time, no space, no distance. Hear and feel that sound. Let it remind us, let it awaken memory in us, the many lifetimes we have been here before. Most importantly, when we've been here in honor of God, when we've been here asking what we can do to make a difference in the world, how to be a symbol of and the presence of God for ourselves, for each other, for the planet, for the universe. We give thanks, Father, Mother, God, for every time we've heard your call. Your call is consistent. We give thanks for the times we listened and chose you as our guide. The Holy Spirit of God, the presence of Christ as a consciousness within all beings, is all that really matters. As we accept the awakening of this consciousness, we return home. All of us together, no one excluded. And in advance, we give thanks that we're experiencing the effects of this choice, the positive gifts and all that comes with choosing God as our guide. Love, peace, joy, and abundance, ours now. And so it is.
From Edgar Casey, let us strive to realize more fully and show by our practical applications that we are workers together with God, that each of us, that each of God's creatures is filling his niche in the great oneness. From our point of view, it may be a very poor expression, but God sees deeper into each heart and knows all things. The kind old lady who offers her simple herb to relieve the pain of the little child, and the skilled physician who is giving his best to mitigate the ills of mankind are as much in at one mint with God as the saint who with the touch of love opens the eyes of the blind. Each is doing his part with the talent given into his keeping. Each is working out his own development in his own way, which is the manifestation of God's will. And so it is. If you'd like to join me in reading our mission statement, you can find it on the white paper in the seat back in front of you. We say together, the Global Center for Christ Consciousness is a spiritual center for students and masters on the spiritual path. We are dedicated to awakening the inner Christ and to creating a world of love, peace, joy, and abundance. And so it is.
Good morning, everyone. What topics would you like me to cover today?
Held and lifted up.
Mm-hmm.
Resilience. Staying awake.
Hurt by love.
Hurt?
Hurt, yeah.
Oh.
And money.
Hurt by money?
And love.
Hurt by money and love. Wow. One sec. What did you say?
Letting go of fear.
Stonewalling.
We did that. Got it. Yes, I heard you. Good job. Thank you.
Recovery.
What was it? One last one? Cool. Let's see. What flight are we going on today? I love what we do here. This is what Spirit can do for us. There are differing kinds of groups. I was mentioning this to one of our online groups yesterday, Zoom groups. That it's kind of interesting that there are so many different beliefs, philosophies, religions, theologies, all these different things, and where do we fit into that? I don't think anywhere that I know of, because people have these certain boxes. So when they can't fit you and your beliefs, or the center and our beliefs, into a box, people kind of don't know what to do with you. It's kind of a strange thing. To be multidimensional, you're not going to fit into a 3D box. So when people say, well, oh, this is what she's about, this is what he's about, it doesn't fit in. And that's kind of not just frustrating to people. Let's be clear. This is frightening to people. What are you about? What they mean is, I need to sort you into something so that I can breathe at ease, knowing that all of my judgments have placed everything where I want them. It's really strange if you think about it. That's what it is. I'm panicking, so I need to call you something. And I've seen people do this. I've seen so often, personally, me, or as a teacher, or in the world, when they don't quite know what you're about. Some of them will even say, I don't quite know where to put you yet. Have you ever had anybody say anything like that? Similar? Isn't that bizarre? Now, do you think they mean, I can't wait to open my mind to the expansiveness of your being? That's not likely. It's not likely, I swear. There's people that get irritated at me when I say things like, the body's an illusion. Because no, I want the body to be what I want it to be. They get more irritated if I say the world's an illusion. And then they get more irritated when I say your opinions about me irritating you are an illusion. Everybody, they need this thing, So people on this planet, they have fears, they have addictions, relationship issues, financial issues, aches in the body that they can't seem to fix, depression. I mean, there's so much going on. And these people get upset when I say it's an illusion. That's interesting. You're getting mad that I'm saying that all your suffering isn't real? That's not who you really are? Wouldn't you be elated to go, well, all this stuff that I go through has no real power other than that which is given to it? Don't you realize I can have you crucified, Pilate said, and Jesus said, you don't have any power except that which is given to you. You see what I mean? That's courageous, but it's also deeply, intensely responsible, because Jesus was owning, this is a game, dude, and I'm aware of how this works, right? I'm aware of how this works. You can't do to me. So imagine having the courage to say that to your ex, or somebody that's ripped you off financially, or neglected you, or hurt you in some way, or whatever it happens to be. To have that level of courage, yeah, level of responsibility, centeredness, to be able to say, wait, I used to think I had people and things figured out. I could assign them a role. I like you, I don't like you. I'm not sure, but I'm going to get back to you in a minute. To have all these assignments and instead go, I don't know what anything is for. You are whatever you are. That's between you and God. My job is to ask to see you from higher mind, higher eyes. That's how I rise in consciousness, by choosing higher consciousness. It's kind of a simple math if you think about it. Becoming awake is one thing. It's not that common, but people do have glimpses here and there about, things moments they become a little awakened. Sustaining that, remaining awake, is harder, because when you start to awaken spiritually, consciousness, psychologically, emotionally, even just levels of human responsibility is a sort of awakening. But when that happens, the human ego that wants us all suffering all the time, that thing is not okay with your awakening. There's an alarm goes off, the way like in a industrial plant, too much heat on this, an alarm goes off, delays in the thing, the conveyor belts are blocking. There's bells that go off. Well, the ego in us has alarms like that. Wait a minute, someone's starting to wake up. And the ego, all it has to do is convince you of a thing or two, basically, but that this awakening is not good for you and it cannot last. Whatever it is, it'll try to distract you from going there. But one of the ways it does that is not just to scare you from the awakening, such as, wow, I went to this center today. You could leave here, guys, on a 0 to 10 scale, you could be blissing a 9+ and just, oh my God, this is amazing. And I've heard people that have had this happen. Oh my God, all you have to do is get to the grocery store. How was your day? It was incredible. I went to the Global Center. Oh, they're kind of weird there. And you'll go, really? Here it comes, down. Yeah, I've heard about it. Oh. And then, and people are going to use that verbal like form of assassination of others. And it's because they have issues, they have fears. It's like that. This is the world just runs on fear. And the ego wants us never to come to a place of trust. Because if you're trusting, you're awakening. Now, I'm not talking about blind, like foolish trust. I'm talking about find something you can trust in this world, even in this world. I don't care if it's a blissful sound healing you had. Never let anybody take that away. Never let anybody turn you into, wait, I thought I had a blissful sound healing experience, but then a friend of mine said, sound healing's of the devil. So now I can't even sleep at night. Listen, there's a couple things I would advise. 1, do another sound healing. 2, don't listen to foolish people. Little people with little minds. Don't hate them, but Jesus said, here's what to do when you have people like that in your life. He taught us. He said to one of them doing it to him, get behind me, Satan. Now, I don't literally mean you should say that to your friend who goes, sound healings are of the devil. Get behind me, Satan. I mean, you might. It might be what they need to hear today. But why would I say that? The meaning, not the words. The meaning, which means in here. To your drug dealer, not today. To somebody that wants to, you can't raise kids without a husband. You need to go find some. Get behind me, Satan, mother. Get behind me. Anybody that tempts you to believe you're less than plugged into God and capable of anything, say no. But don't hate them, because technically they're a voice of yours that's been magnified and reverberated out in through them. So they're just mirroring it back to you. So there's nothing, it's almost like saying, I really hate you, that is me. Like, forgive them all, your own insanity and theirs. They're responsible for their words and they're buying into it. So it's a bummer that they're doing that. They need to work on that, but forgive them. When you do, you're one step closer to bliss, because when you forgive them, you're a step closer to forgiving yourself, who used them as the mouthpiece. So as you start to heal and become contained into the truth of God, reality of God, then you don't need people to mirror anything otherwise. Now they can just mirror that you're plugged in, and more people to give thanks to rather than to blame or to react to. So that concept of, you can help him out. So that concept of resilience and staying awake. Resilience is the same idea. Stay with it. Stay awake. Help him. He's not having a problem. He's just dozing. So when I say help him, it's not like he's passed out or something. Okay? So stay awake. Have resilience. You must have the resilience. Not, I'm going to ask God to give me resilience. If you don't have it, if you don't want it, God won't give it to you. So you have to want this. You have to want to be awake. You have to want to be alert and clear and in a state of gratitude for all the good that's coming. So the ego wants us to shoot things down before they even have a chance to shift something within us. So one of the main tools of the ego is to make you identify. That's become a popular word in recent years. How do you identify male, female? It's not that. It's, do you identify as human? Because now I'm not talking about, isn't it nice to be a human? Listen, human means you're a fallen being. No, Michael, human is beautiful. No, it isn't. Your humanness dies. You can't die. So if you're a human, it means you're lying to yourself. The real you can't die. You've got depression and addiction and all these things. That's not the real you. I think we should embrace our human. That is an affirmation of, and I need to not embrace my spiritual self. Embrace who you really are and let it come through your humanness. Now your humanness will become the most beautiful of a human. When you separate from your true self, then the false self can't reflect happy dreams. Even though this is a false self, it can still reflect goodness, but not if you're disconnected from goodness. So you've got these people walking around the planet, either hating this thing, which is not just your body, it's your mortal, limited human self, or overly loving it, overly beautifying it, thinking, as long as I still get asked out, I guess I'm something. This thing here, it's a limited self. It's not the real you. And I'll only say this for a moment longer, so hang in if it bothers you to hear it. This thing aches. You can't seem to get to go away without drugs that aren't real to take for the aches that aren't even there. How proud of this do you want to be? Don't hate it, but don't overly flaunt it. Love it. It's not even here. Your soul is what's lovable. Your soul is eternal. This thing here, aches you don't know where they come. Depression I can't control. That's heavy stuff. You've got fat on the body you can't get rid of, and your face starts to look like a Rand McNally map. Sorry. So then you find other overweight Rand McNally maps to date, and you think your life is better. No, it isn't. None of it's real. This is not who you are. You can criticize these things about yourself. Other people can tease you about it. Oh my God, you're looking older. Every second, actually. How are you doing? Don't let the people humiliate this thing, nor, wow, you're hot, and go, oh, I feel better today now that somebody likes me. Don't ride the roller coaster that comes from the ego's words and thoughts and ideas. Stay away from these games. Just become interdependent, clear. It doesn't matter what I look like. All I know is every day closer to God. Because the world's going to tell you every day you're closer to death because you're getting older. Overly identifying one way, overly denying still identifies you as a body. And when I say body, I'm not trying to shame the thing you like to have. I'm saying that there's another part of you that's not visible that is the real you. The more you identify, or one way or the other, the resentment of it or the love of it, this thing, the body, the more you got caught. So the ego, you could be having this amazing meditation. And many of you have had this happen where you just start to drop in. Oh my God, I'm starting to see light, and I've never seen light before. And then, the phone rings or distractions. Now, people early on in meditations, they say things like, I feel like my ego or the devil or whatever you're calling it distracted me. I'm trying to get spiritual, but I can't meditate. The kids are making too much noise or whatever it is. All of those distractions are actually boomeranging back as temptations for me. When Buddha sits under the Bodhi tree and he starts having these experiences, he did not sit there going, I'm trying to meditate here. Can you all be quiet? The voice of illusion and arrows shooting at him. And, oh my God, I totally can't meditate, all these distractions. No, he couldn't have accomplished reaching a state of human awakening and spiritual awakening if he would have gone into blame. The reason he wakes up and the reason we know of his thought system, his work today, is because what he did was so unique, and that was sitting there in meditation with the world flailing all its stuff, and first, not believing that any of it's real, and second, that it can have any effect on him. So he sits there, and here come the arrows, and they turn to rose petals. Here's the heat. I'm sitting and trying to meditate. It's so hot, and it is said that nature itself bows over him to shade him. And you think, well, that's cool, but I don't have any trees that'll bow over me. It would if you would stop thinking like that. Coincidences. It'll not always look brilliant like a tree actually goes, and so it is, beloved. But what might happen is just in the moment where you're about to give up, the sun moves behind a tree and you have shade. Maybe it'll be a sprinkler that comes on and cools you off. Well, that's not as cool as a tree. Stop. It's very cool. You were hot, now you're cooling off. Give thanks. You know, every time you have something positive, the ego wants to shoot it down. Try to see through those games. See through those voices. Learn to say, wait, what's this? Wow, I'm going to own that I was just blissing out a moment ago, and now there's this thing trying to shoot it down. See through it. It should be obvious, because one moment you were in a state of happiness and openness, and now something's trying to shoot you down. So no to these things. This should be an ecstatic state of news for us. Letting go of fear is one of your requests. And it's even reaching recovery. You don't want to go into recovery just because it's court ordered. I mean, really? Why don't you just choose it? Why don't you just, I think it's time. I want to be healthier, not, well, I've been told I have to or else. Don't wait till your partner says, I'm going to leave if you don't change, although that's fine. At least it's something of a motivation. We have to want love, not just not want hate. We have to want love. Why is it so unattractive? And somebody could say it's not unattractive at all. Then why isn't it in you 100% of the time, always? The voice of the ego, fear, limitation, has some sort of allure, some attractiveness to us, or we wouldn't choose it. Use common sense on that. Well, not me. Yes, you, everybody. There's something in us that fears light more than darkness. Something in us, what would fear light? The ego. The ego self. What is another word for the ego? My fear. Why would I be afraid in anything in relation to God? I'm afraid of being judged if God were to know all the things I do. I'm afraid of my life changing too abruptly into bliss. There's something that people don't know about, and it's kind of interesting to watch. Have you ever had moments where you probably say about 3 seconds ago, where you would just black out or blank out, or you know what I'm talking about? Like those stares, you know, those kinds of moments. Why do those happen? Does anybody know? The reason they happen is your mind is recalibrating something. If you had an epiphany yesterday in a sound healing, last week in a meditation, it starts getting ready to catch up. It's almost like it's a process that's waiting and building up. And it's waiting for just the right moment. Now, the right moment could be at a stop sign. It could be, sleeping. When you die, you have an experience where all of your lessons are integrated and you're prepared for another lifetime, right? When you sleep, it's a mini version of death where when you're sleeping, it's processing what you learned today and getting ready for the next day. Very similar, but a microcosm of death. You follow? Now, take those two to a third, which is anytime you just space out, go blank stare, I'm telling you, what's happening is some recalibration is happening. And we kind of go, oh, that's weird. I was spaced out. It's a marvelous thing. I was recalibrating. Recalibrating what? I have no idea. But if I'm a rude, mean person, the recalibration is all this gears moving, mathematics going on, and it says you've just dropped 2 notches in consciousness because of the way you're acting this week. It recalibrates, and now I am. You follow? There's no accidental, I'm this consciousness or I'm this. You live up to, you do this. Every day you're creating tomorrow's consciousness. And those moments of recalibration, whether it's in death, whether it's in sleep, whether it's those moments where you just kind of space for a second, there's recalibration happening. Afterwards, you've gone up or you've gone down. And I'm highly recommending, go up. If you ever see moments of space, and you'll start to go, this is a recalibration moment. I'm not trying to start a new fad for terminology, but it's what it is. Recalibrating. People, they use fancy terms, new age, community, there's all these things, people change words and use different words in your vocabulary because they're more spiritual words and all that. So, your partner says, listen, you're not listening to me. Sorry, honey, I was recalibrating. You can't use that for I was disinterested in what you were saying, But yeah, good try, right? He's going, darn. She's here, she's listening, man. You're already, she's already going, like, I'm on to you, man. So you're recalibrating. Who's I am recalibrating. But you know who's helping you? Your spiritual pit crew. Angels, guides. They're there, depending on who you hire for your pit crew. Some of us are like, Jesus? Nah. Holy Spirit? Nah. Mother Mary? No, it's too much. I just need my dead grandmother. If that's as high as you can go, then that's as high as you can go. But you have a pit crew no matter what. You still have angels, even if you don't want to think you have angels. But you might only hear from the ones that are the densest, because that's what you can feel comfortable with. But why not? Why not say the highest? Why not just say the presence of God? I want God to be my guide, not my deceased mother-in-law. I want God to be my guide. Just go for it. You're completely permitted, allowed, and deserving to have God, which is the highest, to be your guide, to be, your wingman, as it were. So in this consciousness, there's these moments of the recalibration. If you ever notice, stop and ask yourself, have I been doing some yucky stuff lately? Because if you have been, and you just recalibrated, I'm telling you, it got locked in as your new reality, which then means your consciousness. If I were you, hold it, back it up. I'm sorry. For where I was coming from, it was a fearful place, and it isn't who I choose to be. I'm calling on your presence, Divine Mother, to give me the truth, not what I experienced, but the truth of who I am. Not my obsession about my weight, my look, but the truth of who I am. Not my judgments on that other person, the truth of who I am and who they are. And then it can all get spun in, and the recalibration that got locked in gets reversed and replaced with something else. So you should want to do this every night when you wake up and start a new day. Hey, anything that locked in here, if you're not of Christ, be gone. It's another way of wording it. Choose to go higher, these recalibration moments. Of course, if they're positives and you can feel, usually how you feel gives you a bit of a barometer of where you're at with these things. Feeling guilty, ashamed, annoyed, angry, and all that, it tells me, my God, I must have been recalibrating into some really dark beliefs. How do I know? Because of the evidence of how I'm feeling. So give it up. Whatever this is about, you don't even have to know what it's about. Whatever this is about, I see you, and I'm giving you to God. You do not represent the truth of who I am and who God's children are. Therefore, goodbye. What I choose instead, love, light, just life, peace, joy, oneness. Call that in and breathe that in. It has to get experienced. From the experience comes integration. From integration comes your new consciousness. And your guides will be helping you. Let's see, we have a break coming up in about 10 minutes. Let's recalibrate them before we go on break. And to you, it's like, anyway, where was I? And you don't know, but nobody knows this. Why do you space out? Oh, yeah, and the neurological something, blah, 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 with stories. Even if you believe anything else that's out there as to why people go blank for a minute or whatever, you can add this to the list of possibilities. But I would try to believe this one rather than just coincidental. Why not believe in something more magical? So something magical is happening in between the seconds of the day. Something very incredible, and it involves, I'm a spirit, I'm a soul. My consciousness is rising today. So naturally, and this is kind of amazing, the more I'm growing, the more I'm going to need recalibration, which can really look weird to the world because more often you're like, okay, you know. So, you know, I was going to tell you about a trip I was going to go up to the Michigan this weekend, and then when I was, you know, like, you know, I mean, loved ones are going to be like 911. I'm with somebody who's having a stroke, you know? It's probably not going to look that extreme. But don't be afraid, because then you're afraid of God. Because the recalibration is, I'm going to higher places. Now, of course, I said, it can also be going to darker places. You'll know by how you're feeling, but also just by knowing yourself more, you know when you're starting to feed into a bunch of dark stuff lately. Just spot that. Don't hate yourself. Don't fear. Don't worry, but spot it. Wow, I've really been doing a lot of this and that lately. I need to take a break for a moment, and a conscious break, like meditating or quiet, whatever it happens to be, might be helpful. Because one of the best things you can do when it comes to this recalibration concept, I've never heard anybody talk about this. I don't know if you have, but it's true. This is how this works. So one of the coolest things to see that it's happening. Another is to participate and not just go, oh, what was that? Oh, this is one of those. Just get quiet. And then, thank you. Thank you. Bring it on. The more you step into it, the more it can download to you, the more recalibrations can. If spirit or your guides, your pit crew, spiritual pit crew, if they sense any kind of anxiety about the spacing, they have to stop. And now it gets dispersed. So try to give it a moment. It's not always perfect, because you know when it happens is like an energetic, spontaneous thing. It's sometimes it's not in the best moments. You know, you're driving a car and you know, amazingly, your guides will actually continue driving the car through you. I'm not encouraging you do this. I'm only saying I have had it happen where I was driving, and I remember one incident in my 20s. I remember this incident where it must have been 15 minutes later that I came back. Now, I don't encourage people to do that, but it happens. It just all of a sudden, the guides say, we'll take the wheel. We need you to go somewhere else. Why would they do that while you're driving? Because it was that important that it happened right now. So sometimes it's going to be in odd moments that don't seem quite right, but don't fear that. Don't worry. Trust and give thanks that you're going to be taken care of. You could be in the middle of a conversation. You could be in the middle of making love. And, you know, if they say, what happened? I don't know. It was just the most pleasurable experience I've ever had. So I was in a state of overwhelm. Say something nice. Instead of, well, I was just getting, you know, I was busy going somewhere else, you know. That's not a good thing. So when you have these experiences, people will become afraid. People will stonewall your sharing about these kinds of things. And I don't think you need to tell everybody about it. I don't think, you know, people talk about finding their voice. I don't think you need to tell everybody. I just learned about this thing, you know, this recalibration concept. So I'm going to be going for this all the time. And they're like, religiously, politically, or whatever their trip is, they get triggered. You might have said too much. Triggering people, if they choose to get triggered, it's their problem. But you triggering them insensitively is your problem. Well, I shouldn't have to worry about other people. Actually, you should. Not worry, but care. Care enough to know this could be scary to some people. I honestly, like if you have 10-year-olds and you say, Mommy's going to start recalibrating for a while. They can't even pronounce recalibrating at some ages. They don't know what that means. I think it's not appropriate. But you can find other ways to share these things. I'm not saying it has to be some sort of a dark secret of yours, but find a way to be as appropriate as possible when you're sharing your insights, when you're sharing your personal epiphanies and changes, meditation, whatever it happens to be. Even telling somebody who doesn't believe in meditation that you meditate all the time might not be necessary if it's going to unnecessarily trigger them. I'm not saying you're wrong for meditating. I'm not saying you're wrong for being excited about it. But there's lots of people that would be excited to hear it. One person just goes into dark spaces about it. That's not the right person to share that with. And some people don't agree. They're like, no, I have to speak my truth. The more you have to speak your truth, the more it's not truth. Wow. Because you are the truth. It's coming through every pore. It is who you are. I don't have to. That's the operative part. I don't need to, and I don't have to tell you my truth. And it's clearly only mine, and it isn't truth. If I have to push it on other people. We'll talk about that maybe in another talk down the road, but the words you're using, being held and lifted, resilience, staying awake when you start to wake up. These are all these beautiful things, but they're all based on consciousness. And a lot of people teach about a vibration. I'm going to raise my vibration. How? There's this herbal combination. It's called Raise Your Vibration. And I found it at the local, health store, so it's got to be real. Raise your vibration right there. Look in the back, it's all organic, so it's got to be real. There's lots of things you can think you can do to raise your vibration. Only consciousness can raise vibration. You can chime, chant, crystal bowl, sound healing, pranayama breathing. You can do all kinds, and the special herbal combo. If you're not a nice person, you're not changing your vibration. Even if you can change your vibration, let's ramp it up. Ding, doo, om, brrr, whatever. You're raising your vibration, stand on one foot, eye to the third eye, all this stuff. As soon as you're done, it all just goes from high vibration, wow. And then as soon as you're done, you're back to being you again. And you're not a nice person. Only consciousness, you having a higher consciousness, raises your vibration. That's the only organic version of raising your vibration. I'm not saying don't use the other. I'm saying let the others support your rise in consciousness. But you've got to rise in consciousness. How do we do that? Pranayama, no. Mainly love and forgiveness, being of service, simple things like that. It's not grandiose about out here, dress a certain way, do a certain thing, being on stage. No, it's love people. Love is the key word. Love them so much, you forgive them. Love them so much, you're being of service. Love them so much, you're getting used more and more, getting used to saying thank you to people and situations. See, that's all love. Love in action. What form does it take? Kind words, bridging with people, patience, all those other words we hear. God, it's hard to keep up with all the things I'm supposed to do to be spiritual. I'm told I have to be patient. I'm told I have to be loving. I'm told I have to be forgiving. All these words, they're all symptoms or gifts or extensions of one thing. It's love. Jesus teaches. Then Jesus is giving his version of commandments, beatitudes. Ladies and gentlemen, be this attitude. Hold this attitude. And he gives you these, he teaches, he's healing, he's casting out demons, doing all this. Then he goes, you know what? Let's narrow it down a bit. Beatitudes. Be these attitudes. He's summarizing. This is it's Jesus' what's called the Sermon on the Mount. This is also known as Jesus' greatest hits. This is where he gives the Lord's Prayer, the Beatitudes. It's like, wow, he's rocking it today, man. I think today he's in the zone because he was doing all these things. No. So he's landing all this consciousness, right? And at some point, it's got to be a humorous moment to go, never mind. Love. Just love one another as I'm demonstrating love to you. You see what I'm doing there? It's like he tries the vast teachings, deep and for years, and then let's narrow it down to the greatest hits Sermon on the Mount, and then they're still not going to get it, are they? Never mind. Erase everything I said and just one thing, love. And love, some people like equate it with romance. Romance is one of the most twisted versions of love. That's far from being. Love is beyond what you think it is. I don't know what love is, but I'm willing to find out. That's the attitude. Not, I got that covered. I love my children, mainly because they're my children. Do you love them when you're not so happy that they're your children? That's real love. That's closer to real love. Real love is for everyone. Oh, great. So I can't have a partner now. We're back to that again. Yes, you can. It means I love everyone, but I choose to spend time with you. That's beautiful. But the real love should be there first. That's a great compliment, by the way. We think a compliment is, out of 8 billion people on the planet, I like you only. And we think that's like a romantic gesture. Oh, wow, they love me. And they'll demonstrate it on Valentine's Day or my birthday. So this is like a very narrow concept of love, version of love. The real deal is, I love everyone, but how many people are going to be honored by that? You know, send them a Valentine's card. Hi, I know it's Valentine's Day, and I love you, but I actually love everyone. You know, like, it kind of takes it down a notch. But what you mean is, out of everyone, and I love everyone, but out of them, I choose you as a partner to dance with in life. See, that takes it another level. Instead of, you know, I don't love anybody but you, sounds really flattering. It's even more to say, but I'm capable of loving everyone and still you. You're still unique to me. That's really beautiful. Same with your kids. You don't say, I love my oldest child more than my youngest. Who would, in their right mind, would do that? I know there's different karmic connections and all that, but really it's closer to that kind of love. It's that you don't, for some, not for others, some days, not other days. Spiritual love means I'm changing and I don't even know what to do with this. I'm feeling love for everyone. And it's in my pores, it's coming out. I smile at everyone. Now, if you have a partner who says, I saw that. Saw what? You're smiling at that other lady or guy. I saw that. Well, but no, don't even try it. I'm bringing this to our counselor. He's smiling at other, and you're in this human weirdness and you can't get out of it. Here's what I would say. I would say, you're right, I did. Why? Is she beautiful? Wait. I'm feeling like I want to smile more often and to more people. I can't even tell you why or how much or when. All I know is I'm feeling something changing in me. Now, you could say to the other person, you're so jealous. You stop your jealousy. You're just insecure. Stop. Listen. Whatever they were, the shaming, insecure, jealous person, whatever they were, or whatever they're doing or acting like, they were fine when you met them. You were okay with it then. They didn't change. They're still jealous. You changed for the better. So don't just criticize them for being jealous. Instead, say, I know this must be hard. It would be hard for me if the tables were turned. All I know is I'm feeling love that I can't deny. And I want to smile. And I want to say hello to people. I'm going to offer a hand more often. I'm going to help pay, somebody's insufficient funds in the grocery line. I just feel this. And I would understand if this is too weird for you. It'd be hard for me to lose you, but I would understand. You see what I'm doing? That's bridging. You're changing for the better. You have those recalibrations. You're changing for the better. The ego is going to find ways to shame it, shut it down, neglect it, do something negative with it. All that you were doing in expansiveness is going to get shut down and turned the other way. And to me, that's very sad. I've seen it happen, in all my years on this planet, in every lifetime. I mean, it happens all the time. A child comes home and says, look, Mommy, I colored first time, Oh, honey, but you colored outside the lines. See, that's cruel. It's unnecessary. But the person with the problem isn't the one that colored outside the lines. Do you see what I mean by that? Same for those who say, I had a mind-blowing meditation day. Well, meditation, wait a minute, that's not in the Bible. Meditation is of the devil. No, but wait, but I saw Jesus. It wasn't Jesus. It was Satan in disguise. He stole that robe off a rack in heaven and put it on and, groomed up a little, and I'm Jesus, How afraid do you need to be? Like, that's pretty weird. And yet people thrive on this. When you go into recovery and you start talking about God, and I'm calling on God to help me and people are like, come on, you've been drinking with us for 20 years. You're not in recovery. It's just a phase, court ordered. Tell me what happened. Did your wife threaten to leave you? They shut it down. They shame it and minimize it. Get new friends. Sometimes that's what you have to do. I'd rather you be able to hang with them and they support you in it, but you know what? In this world, you don't always get the support you would like. One of you asked about that word authenticity. Remember, that's coming from a Latin, roughly pronounced authenticus, and it means the author of their own life. You are the author of your own life. How is your life doing? Well, it would be doing better if only. Wait, who typed the chapters? You're going to blame the editor. Who typed the chapters? Those people are just characters in the book. They didn't write the book. I mean, that would be kind of weird. Probably a good sci-fi movie if somebody wrote it, where somebody's writing a book, but the characters in the book start writing the book and changing it. And when the author wakes up, the chapters are different. I didn't write that. You see where that could go if you're watching from Hollywood, I want 5%. So we have to choose love. How to do that, in summary? You have to recognize all that is not love is no longer attractive to me. You have to own that. Now some people are like, no, that sounds like it was never, I never thought it was attractive. Listen, you did find the opposite of love, which is limitation, fear, etc. You did find it attractive. You found it attractive to drink so much that the next day you were heaving over a toilet. That doesn't sound attractive, but guess what? The fact that you did it more than once means there was something likable enough about it. Well, there's nothing likable. I'm not saying the experience seems likable. I'm saying you punishing yourself. You have low self-worth. You drank, now you're over a toilet bowl. It's the demeaning. Maybe it's the being so lowered, so leveled that you'd be kneeling over a bowl and vomiting. Maybe that statement of low self-worth is what you love or are addicted to. It's not just the alcohol. It's the effects. You would think nobody would want that. Look more deeply. What are you really looking for here? And it's either the fake high from the drink or the self-debasement of what happens afterwards. But there's something about it. People don't want to hear the truth. You get into 12-step programs, you have to do things like inventory, and that's probably the hardest part. It's probably easy to ask God to be part of your recovery program. It's probably easier to be able to share the program with others. The hard part of the program, you could say, is to abstain from the drug or drink. Yeah, arguably that's right up there, tied with the other. The other being having to look at yourself. Psychologically, that's the tougher. Physically, chemically, the one's going to be harder. But man, psychologically, how you got there. How you got to a place where you would, and I'm not trying to put heavy on you, I'm just saying, to get to a place where you lost loved ones, you lost family, you had people leave that you loved, they left because of, and you lost your job or whatever, that's heavy stuff. And it's not fun, but it tells us how little we think of ourselves. Who wants to hear that? A little more cocaine and I don't feel little about myself at all. I feel invincible. It's not real. Well, then I'll take more. And that's what we do in this false world. Creating a false image. Why? Because I've forgotten who I really am. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a program, a workshop, because it's called Accentuating Your True Self. And it sounds good. It promises more income. Stop. Go to that program, but go to God as well. God, I have forgotten the beauty you created me to be. I don't mean like job-wise, dollar-wise. I'm talking about there's something extraordinarily beautiful in here. And you will not find it over the toilet bowl. You will not find it on your 5th marriage. You will not find it in anything this world offers. Whether it's a pick-me-up, a self-esteem kind of thing, whether it's I won the lottery. Most people go broke after winning the lottery because they haven't had a change in consciousness. Commit yourself to positive changes, changes in consciousness. But when they happen, breathe them in. Never let them be pulled away again, because there are forces that as soon as you seem suspiciously interested in a new life, it's going to try to tear you down. There's a statement in the New Testament. This is not the battle you think it is. These are forces. These are powers, principalities. There are forces involved in this that you don't even understand. Even the craving for a drink could involve entities. And I'm not trying to make you scared. Man, I think I'd like a cold beer. Oh, that's probably an entity. I'm not trying to make you paranoid. I'm just saying sometimes it is. Because there are beings that want you to drop in consciousness. The drinking didn't do it. Thinking little of yourself enough to think that the beer is going to make your day better is the part that's a problem. You not realizing who you really are. One of the challenges is when you start to see through it and go, none of this stuff out here really does anything for me. It's all in here. What starts to happen is, therefore, I don't feel attracted to eating as much, alcohol, bars, one-night stands, these things I used to do. It's weird because now you go, I don't know what to do with my day because I'm just like blissing out. That is, I got to tell you, that is one of the big challenges there. But start finding other people to bliss out with. You can create new and happier, healthier habits, hobbies. It could be gardening. I don't recommend you become like hold away and like this cloistered monk nun kind of thing. You've done that in other lifetimes and it didn't work out because you came back without doing that this time. So obviously it wasn't that great. So what do I need to do? I need to, my God, a new self is coming out. And it is weird because I'm not interested in the same old movies, shows, nothing's doing it for me. That is a natural thing. Anybody have that hit yet? Yes, okay. So you're not alone in that. Of course, know that. It's going to happen. So breathe and go, oh, that's what's happening. Yeah, I mean, one of those, wow, I'm feeling like, oh my God, I don't really know what to do. It's breathe, just sit down and breathe for a minute. And you know what's going to happen as you're breathing? Recalibration. And then even because you're not choosing anxiety, you're choosing peace. So even when you're choosing this peace instead of anxiety, even your feelings of, I don't know what to do, the drinking, you know what? You're out of your recalibration and now you feel more okay with being alone. And I'm not saying your destiny is to be alone. I'm saying if that's what you were feeling. You might have downloads come to you during the recalibration. I'm going to call so-and-so. You never know, but your life is going to improve if you keep faith and trust in that process. There's this beautiful, magical something that's happening in between moments of my day. I used to be doing this. I would like to be doing that right in between. It's not just the present. We talked about that a few weeks ago. The power of being in the moment. It's like that, but it's a specific thing that happens in that moment, a specific thing. Even though the moment is a stillness, it seems like not a lot's happening. Everything is happening when you get to that stillness, that moment, the presence. The world can fall away. I mean, in other words, you look and with your eyes and all of a sudden there's not a bunch of people, there's just lights. How do you deal with that? It's a little freaky. The recalibration can be intimidating, which is why most people do it as a blank stare and act like they didn't know what happened. See, now, as I'm starting to close here, remember, recognize it's possible that you are panicking that something so powerful is happening, you're afraid of it overwhelming you. Anybody could be a little intimidated of that, going through something like that. Hi, listen, we don't know if you're still going to have a body when this is done, but just go with it. Oh, okay. Wait, can I leave a note for my kids? There's the conditions. Why? Because you're a little afraid, a little intimidated. How about going with it? I can't tell you how much to go with it. One saying is, as long as you still are there, like remaining the witness that it's happening, that will help you feel comfortable enough. I can't tell you how much to just take off with it, how much to stay grounded with it. I can't tell you because every person has to decide for themselves. There are moments when I just went, and you just surrender and fall into what's called the abyss, which sounds terrible, but it's the space between us and God. If you don't approach the abyss, which is silence externally, in this world we call it silence. If you can't go into silence and hold silence for a moment, it shows how afraid you are of the silence of the abyss. The abyss is so silent, the noise would destroy our minds if we surrender to it. And there's a reason for that. Because we believe we're so small, we can't surrender to something so great without being obliterated. So I wouldn't try to do it of your little self. I would say, here I am, God. Catch me. And surrender to that moment as best you can. So in closing, whatever you're experiencing in life, you can think it's just an experience. You can also realize every experience is some form of test, a lesson. At the very least, a lesson. You do lessons in school and then occasional tests. So it's a lesson. Whatever you're experiencing, sitting in these chairs, listening today, this is an experience. Driving home is an experience. Everything on earth, we call them experiences, whether it's of your mind, your emotions, your body, whatever. It's an experience. The question isn't whether you have things happening. It's what you do with them. Because every one of those experiences downloads changes for you. Don't like them, minimize them, tear them down, judge them. Sadly, because nothing's neutral, they actually become drops in consciousness. See them, love them, give thanks for them, go with the expansiveness of them, and you end up with rising in consciousness. How was school today, honey? The Divine Mother says in your recalibration at the end of the day while you're sleeping or any time. How was school today? It was great. Did you learn anything? No. Down you go. Did you learn anything? Yes. A couple of people from the past popped in and I sent them forgiveness. Oh my God, that's wonderful, she says, the Divine Mother. And then also this one really strange lesson came up where I was tempted to feel fear when I opened up and saw a bill, like a debt or whatever. And I panicked, but I went, wait, what bill is there that God can't pay? I gave it to you and I felt a shift. This is where she's going, you know what? Not only are we going to put a star on your little test paper, we're going to put a smile face as well, and you don't have to do homework this weekend. It's like school. It's beautiful. You will reap the rewards, the gifts, the benefits of the work you've done. We make it all negative and heavy, and no, man, the life we have is the one we chose yesterday to create. Today's from yesterday. Tomorrow's from today. So I want to create the best today possible. And that's coming from, I'm awake to see my experiences. I'm breathing them in, integrating them, and giving thanks for this. I see it, integrate it, give thanks. And then you've shifted consciousness. Don't learn, you drop. And it's you that dropped, and it's you that brought yourself there. Rise, learn your lessons, get it, give thanks. Be in the wonderment. Oh my God, I'm getting this. Even if it seems like baby steps, go for it. More will be given when you handle today well. Now all of a sudden, a rise in consciousness. If ever you see those moments of recalibration, don't panic. Something wonderful might be happening. If it isn't wonderful, it's because you didn't choose well. Course in Miracles loosely words it. Christ consciousness loosely words it. Whatever challenges you're experiencing today, are ones that you didn't complete yesterday. So I guess I'd like to complete them. Otherwise, I'll be dealing with it again tomorrow. Please take a few centering breaths. Just relax your mind and body. Let's allow, by grace of the Divine Mother, by guidance of the Holy Spirit of God, let's allow ourselves to step into a multidimensional experience, which means it's more in the direction of unlimited. Time and space doesn't have the control it once had. We're going to step into something very unique. Divine Mother, all of my recalibrations I put into your hands. But for the sake of this meditation, this experience here, I'm going to just take a moment to step up and participate. So, looking over just the last week of my life, what kinds of experiences do I remember? Start with challenging. Anything this week that's been remotely or hugely challenging. Just take a moment and breathe. Don't deny them, don't minimize them, just breathe with them for a moment. If you ignore these, they're going to cause a recalibration that's going to take you down a notch. Health, finances, it's going to take you down. We're not choosing to be sleeping humans anymore. I'm choosing to be awake, which means responsible and participating. So, these challenging experiences, if I were to group them together as a 1 week cluster of lessons, experiences that seemed less than blissful. So what I'm going to do, instead of letting these become a knockdown, I'm calling these into my being. I'm calling these, I'm owning these, and I'm saying, I'm giving these to you, Divine Mother. I'm giving these to you. I don't know what the lessons were for or where they came from, and I don't need to. My job is only one thing: surrender to you. You take these lessons and you lift them into higher levels of consciousness. Anything that was here that was fear-based in me, that was karmic, that was judgmental, I'm giving it all to you and relinquishing the effects it has on me. I'm clear of them. Warranting in the most beautiful way a recalibration for the positive, for the better. Look at this week, positive things that have happened. Epiphanies, inspirations, good karma, unexpected funds incoming, all these things. A smile, a hug from somebody. Anything positive. Don't let them just be dead sort of events, random. Make them into something else. All of these, I'm putting into my consciousness the machinery that is recalibration. And I'm saying, take all this inside, into my mind, multiply it. The way Jesus could multiply loaves and fish and so on, I'm saying multiply these moments of goodness, miraculously so. Multiply all of this. Bring me to new levels of consciousness by saying thank you, owning these things and saying thank you. All of them begin to raise to higher and higher levels of consciousness, of vibration. High vibratory food for my soul. And it allows me to feel a peace in my heart, an opening of my upper centers, my crown, and so forth. My own experience as being loved and appreciated more is enough to raise my consciousness, my vibration, and open my chakras. My own positive response to day-to-day things, and look what it can do magically. Give that a moment to move through you. Try to feel like you're sort of half asleep, just kind of half asleep, meaning you're calm, but you're also aware of energies. It's okay if you don't see, think, feel magical things. It's okay. Just float like you're half asleep. Don't let yourself fall asleep, but don't stay totally in your head. False version of being awake. Just relax. Relax your mind. And feel like, what if I were floating in trust of God? For half a minute more during this floating, the Holy Spirit enters your mind and starts doing more of that recalibration. She unplugs things, rewires, plugs new things in. Neurons are changing, meridians are upgrading. And all of this would be worthless if we didn't choose to share these changes with the world and the people around us. So in closing, spend a half a minute imagining if you had any shifts, and trust me, you did, even if you didn't feel it. You're feeling shifts, but what about it? What are you feeling? I feel peaceful, I feel calm, I feel whatever it is. Right now, for half a minute, imagine yourself extending these things to the world. Picture yourself, if you feel peaceful, imagine people that aren't feeling peaceful and sending peace to them. Share whatever you're feeling of a good nature, surrender anything to the contrary. You feel love? Send everybody love. Especially any images, faces of people that come to mind. It means they're asking for that gift from you. You might not know it, but those people are saying, sweetheart, I know I'm not perfect. I know I blow it sometimes. But I would appreciate your love or your forgiveness. How am I going to ever be a nicer person if you don't bless me with the niceness you're feeling right now? To all of those people, as unconditionally as possible, the peace that I feel, I share with you. The peace that God is, I share with you. God is, I am, and you are at peace. You are blessed because I've chosen to step up as your spiritual brother or sister. I'm sorry that I haven't done this more often in my life, but now I'm ready. I become a person who's a light worker, a person who's ready to be the representative of God's presence even in the earth plane. And then we all wake up together. And so it is. Very slowly, come back into the room. Give yourself a moment. Let that be like a nice, just magical moment. Just let that energy kind of recalibrate. Let it form itself, rework, and get you back in your body gradually. The shifts you feel could be subtle or major. In our day-to-day life, it could be as subtle as just kind of feeling a little happier. But there are people that have these recalibrations, you know, those blank stares and the recalibrations where they actually feel like they're a walk-in, you know, like a totally different person. That's just a term that's out there. But also, you might feel like the presence of God is in you. You know, there's the recalibrations can be minor or major, depending on what you're ready for, what you're open to. Pretty amazing, though. How's everyone feeling? Good. Good. Thank you. What did you learn or hear that made the most sense or might be the most effective in your life? Yes, dear.
Accepting our challenges and, had it in my mind this past, loving, extending our love to people that are challenging to us
Extending love to people that are challenging to us. Yeah, absolutely.
and accepting.
Yeah, be the love you want to see in the world. Anyone else? Yes?
The way you described lessons gave it a completely different connotation for me
Mm.
because I don't know about anybody else, but to me lessons have always had a negative connotation. Like
Yeah.
you're learning something.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, using the term, it's reframing the concept of lessons. I've written a book, Understanding the Purpose to Life's Tests. And once in a blue moon, somebody will have a problem with lessons, tests. Oh, that's a negative word. Change the title of your book. I'll be right on that. For you and your triggers. In negative tests and lessons, it sounds, it's like, but you know what? That's just some weird stuff they picked up along the way. It doesn't have to be framed that way. Lessons and tests that I pass, and it helps me graduate to higher levels of consciousness. What school did you go to that lessons and tests were so brutal? Like, wow. But thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that reframed. There's the team was telling me about somebody who mentioned, I think, within the last month, I think, I made a comment about, we every so often, I have something funny to say. And I made a comment about Girl Scout cookies, being so delicious. Somebody sent a complaint about and telling us all of the negative chemicals found in Girl Scout cookies. So now I not only hate those cookies, I hate the little Girl Scouts and any female wearing green. I'm now triggered. Is that where you want me to go? Is that why you sent that to me? I mean, they were so out there, like there's this and this and this and this. And it's like, this was humor. This was like just making light of, no, it's not, And I think it's because I said, if you criticize foods like the delicious mint Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints, if you criticize these, let's pretend they're terrible, they're poisonous, they're toxic. This is what I said that triggered them. They're toxic and poisonous. Technically, in the world of holistic health, that's called homeopathic remedies. Right? So you should have a couple a day so that your body's starting to build an immunity to such toxins. That's what I said, and they're like, oh, this is a big one, Elizabeth. It's from Sanford and Son. What do you do with your day that Girl Scout cookies, playfulness around Girl Scout cookies could ruin your day and make you have such hatred? Anyway, so they're gone supposedly. So, sharing with you briefly, we're going to do our collection and our closing prayer. Please be as generous as you can be. Your donations go in the bags. Primary donations in the bags. The wicker baskets are for any extra donations you can afford. Online, you can click a button there for donations, but in the wicker baskets, the special project we're going to go to, try to finish this month if we can, is a new podium. This one's,
Have you already picked it out?
Yeah, we have an idea, of one. Yeah, so let us know, if you have extra, you can put it in the wicker baskets or mail it in or email it, or whatever you can do. So let's take our love offerings and focus our consciousness into this blessing. We call it the prosperity blessing. Really feel it and believe it. And please believe that you have so much value that you can, whether you put $1 or a prayer or $1,000 in the basket, just know that you're abundant. Okay, just know it. And every day you'll afford more and more and more. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. This afternoon, we're having a workshop. I'll be facilitating advanced skills in spiritual counseling. It's a great workshop in like receiving healing. You'll receive healing on a, the internal level here, which then can bring it to the outside too. You'll receive, but you'll also learn more about how to bridge with people, how to be patient, how to communicate better. It's all about, you could say the psychology, but it's spiritual psychology. It's not dry in that sense, but it's all about learning more patience, more love. Really, really beautiful, really powerful. So that workshop's this afternoon around noon we'll be starting. Let's see. We have our conference, as you know, every September, and we're launching that as of today. The Daughters of Heaven tickets are on sale, so you can sign up for this year's conference. It's the best conference I've ever seen or been to by far. So if you want to join us, register for the conference. If you don't know about it, please go to the website, daughtersofheaven.com, and or you can pick up the book on Daughters of Heaven, all right? And I want to mention that we have, obviously, all week long and during the weekends, there's workshops, classes. One of our coolest, is we're like a hub for A Course in Miracles studies. Anybody that's into, bless you, A Course in Miracles, we have all kinds of routes. Once a month, we have one that I do once a year, other people once a month, others it's once a week, but every Wednesday at 11, there's a Course in Miracles group that meets here. They go pretty deep in this. It doesn't mean if you're a beginner, it's too much. But I'm just saying it's not just skimming the surface. It's a personal and deeper dive into how to apply this level of consciousness, which again is Christ consciousness. And we have the crystal bed available. That's the yurt outside. In there, there's a crystal bed, extraordinary healing frequencies there that go on. Yeah, it's really powerful. You can look up more about that. And let's see. I think that's all off of that. I will mention we have for 12 months, one day we have a workshop. The first Sunday of the month, we do a search for God. It's strongly related to the Edgar Cayce monthly work, we'll call it, on how to awaken and have a tighter relationship with God, with Spirit, and Christ consciousness. So that's going on, and that's just adding a lot of depth for a lot of us doing that work together. It's kind of like 1 month we apply faith, another one patience, another one love. So every month there's a focus. That came from Edgar Cayce's work, channeling to people how to awaken Christ consciousness. So we're applying that. On that note, Edgar Cayce's foundation is the ARE, the Association for Research and Enlightenment. I just want to mention for folks online and here, they have membership. You can join internationally, but you can also know regionally they have events. By my estimation, the best author I've ever seen come out of the ARE is a guy named John Van Auken, a great dude, spiritual dude, really awake. I mean, this guy's got a lot of knowledge, especially if you want to study things like Egyptology. He's way beyond anybody I've known. But he's going to be doing in Scottsdale, April 25th. April 1st, they have something going on online called Jesus the Pattern. But then they also have April 25th in Scottsdale. It's Edgar Cayce on our sacred past and the journey today. So John Van Auken will be facilitating that. So you can go on their website and look up those titles, those names of those events, and learn more about it if you want to sign up. I don't know if it's online or just in person, but if you want to know more about it, I wanted to just take a moment out of respect for Cayce's work to tell you more about that event, okay? And lastly, we opened up a treasure trove of inventory we have a lot of extra. So all of my books are on the table against the wall over there. Typically they're about $20. You can have them for half price, any of them, half price. There's CDs that are closed out. We found some extras though. Those were $15 for $5. You can take one. There's even wow, this was like out of, a picture like this vault and then this dust, cobwebs, There's the large manual, it's called Sacred Sexuality. This is when it used to be in a large format book. It's in a different form now to match the other size of all the other books. But that book we found, and they're the last 10 on the planet. So if you want one of those, I think they were 20 or 25. Those two you can have for $10. So, but also as a favor to the center and to us and the work here, even though you're purchasing, I understand, it's also doing us a service. It helps us clean things up, make room. But also, please, take things like this and share them with people. I only say this once every year or two because I don't really like to sound self-promoting, but I'm telling you, please, anybody you know that's a counselor, get them the Creating Fulfilling Relationships book so that they can study it and bring that to other people. People that you know are going through big challenges, get them The Dark Night of the Soul. But if that sounds too much for that person, just get them, you're not going crazy, you're just waking up. It's a lighter version. People that want to go deep dive into healing internal stuff, healing the heart and soul. People like your partners. Sacred Sexuality would be a good book for that. I'm kidding, that might tick them off. Send it with a card saying thank you. But please check those out. Take as many as you can. We'd appreciate it. You're doing us a great service. But those are there. So please stand for our closing prayer. Join us this afternoon if you can. All right, advanced skills, spiritual psychology, counseling, how to bridge. People don't realize the miracles. This is how it works, man. Changing the way we communicate with people, being more patient, hearing more deeply what they're really saying. So it's really, really profound. We're going to do some really cool exercises with this, all right? Soaking in a sense of gratitude. How did you do with learning about recalibration? Interesting, isn't it? Nice. Yeah, you never know, man, what we're doing here today, and I need to give it Sunday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Before you walk out the door, to at least one person turn and say peace to you.